A. What are metaphors?
Metaphor is concerned with using words in abstract rather than literal ways. It is a way of expressing something by comparing it indirectly with something else that has similar characteristics. If we call a city a jungle, for example, we are using a metaphor. We are suggesting that a city is like a jungle in that it is wild and full of dangers.
If we say that someone lights up our life, we are using a metaphor. We are suggesting that person is like a light in our life, in that they make our life brighter and happier.
B. Idioms and Metaphors. Many idioms are metaphorical expressions which are in common use. For example, be on the ball, to keep someone or something on a tight rein. Some of the most common idiom metaphors are based on parts of the body. So we might say that a building is in the heart of the city. We can call the place where a river joins the sea its mouth, and the person in charge of an organization its head. If you say that someone has an eye for a bargain, you mean they are good at finding a bargain. If you keep a close eye on someone or something, you watch them carefully. If you say that something is in safe hands, you mean that the person in charge is capable. If you say that something goes hand in hand with something else, you mean that they exist together and are interconnected. For example, rights go hand in hand with responsibilities. If you talk about doing something using a rule of thumb, you mean you are calculating something in a way that is not exact, but will allow you to be accurate enough. C. Common metaphorical concepts in English.
Many words in English are so frequently used in a metaphorical way that English speakers may no longer notice that they are metaphors. Here are some examples. Intelligence and understanding are equated with light. For example, a clever person is called bright, and a less intelligent person, dim. If you see the light, you understand something. To cast light on something means making it easier to understand. For example, the discovery of the poet's letters has cast light on his troubled relationship with his brother. Intensity of feeling or passion is equated with temperature. Someone who is enthusiastic at one time and not at another is said to blow hot and cold. If someone is hot-headed, then they react quickly on the basis of their feelings without thinking first. If you call someone cold-hearted, then you think they are without feeling. The movement of people or traffic is equated with the movement of water. We can, for example, talk of people flooding or trickling out of a hall, or say there was a constant stream of traffic past the window. Time is likened to money. Both are seen as commodities that can be spent or wasted or used profitably. You can also talk about investing time, using it in a way that you think will pay dividends in future. Business is likened to a military operation. Strategies, tactics, and campaigns are used in both contexts. So a company might launch an advertising campaign, for example, or work on its marketing strategy.
A. When things go right.
If something worked like a dream, this means a plan succeeded absolutely perfectly. If something went or ran like clockwork, this means it went smoothly with no difficulties. If something is up and running, this means it has begun to work as planned. If something is falling into place, this means it is on the point of starting to work well. If something is looking up, this means it is looking very positive.
B. When things go wrong. Reacting in conversation.
Oh no, that's all we need. Oh no, that's all we needed.
That's the last thing I wanted to hear.
This is like a bad dream.
It's a real nightmare. It's my worst nightmare.
What a pain.
C. Confusing situations or situations you don't understand.
Her sudden question threw me completely.
The meeting was a complete shambles.
It's a mystery to me how people know about my private life.
I'm sorry, we must have got our wires crossed. I thought the meeting was at 11, not 10:30.
I'm not with you. You've lost me there.
D. Happiness and sadness.
To be on top of the world, or on cloud 9, or over the moon. To be extremely happy. To be in your element, or to be made for. To be ideally suited for. To be fed up to the back teeth. To be extremely unhappy, disappointed. To be down in the dumps, or down in the mouth. To be depressed.
A. Learning phrasal verbs.
There are a great many phrasal verbs in English, and many learners find them particularly difficult to master. The best way to learn them is in context. When you come across one, write it down in an example sentence. There are a couple of important points to remember about phrasal verbs. Firstly, a verb plus preposition or particle combination may have more than one meaning. Come across, for example, can also mean give an impression of being, as in, he can come across as unfriendly when you first meet him. Come over can also be used with the same meaning, as in, he can come over as unfriendly. Secondly, it is sensible to concentrate first on understanding phrasal verbs rather than using them. There is usually an alternative way in which you can say the same thing using a single verb. So, for example, instead of put forward a plan, you can propose a plan. And instead of rush into a decision, you can make a hasty decision.
B. The verb.
A very large number of phrasal verbs are formed using common verbs such as come, do, get, or go, for instance. Here are some more examples with come.
I hope our plans to visit Russia come off.
Sandro's family came over from Italy for the wedding.
I wouldn't usually say something like that. I don't know what came over me.
The proposal has come under a lot of criticism.
If the opportunity to work in the US comes up, you must take it.
Our plan has come up against some obstacles.
C. The preposition or particle.
The second part of a phrasal verb is a preposition or particle. This can sometimes help you understand the meaning of the phrasal verb. For example, on can often convey an idea of continuing over a period of time.
Selena decided to stay on at university and do a master's degree.
Try not to dwell on the past.
I didn't expect platform shoes to catch on.
I wish she'd stop going on about her new car.
The crowd was urging the runners on.
The weather was terrible, but the climbers pressed on regardless.
D. Phrasal verbs in topics. It can be useful to learn phrasal verbs in sets connected with a topic. Here, for example, are some from the context of work. I need to brush up on my computer skills for my new job.
The company laid off half its staff during the recession.
Tomorrow's meeting has been called off because Jack is ill.
Sasha has thrown himself into his new job.
It took me a few weeks to settle in at my new office.
It took me ages to put together the report.
A. Different kinds of associations. We often associate words with something that is not obvious from the literal meaning of the word. The dove, for example, is a white bird that has associations with peace. So if a journalist calls a politician a dove, they are suggesting that he or she is a peacemaker. Similarly, they might call a more aggressive, hardline politician a hawk, a bird which hunts its prey. Some associations, like those of dove and hawk, will be shared by most speakers of English, and they may even be included in a good dictionary for learners. Sometimes associations are not the same for all native speakers of the same language, but may vary from one geographical area to another. Black cats, for example, have associations with good luck in Britain, but with bad luck in the USA. Many associations are purely personal. Someone who had a bad experience of dogs in childhood may think of a dog as being fierce and frightening, whereas for others, dogs may represent loyalty and friendship. The most commonly shared association of the word dog in English is faithfulness. However, the phrase "a dog's life" is used to refer to a very unhappy and unpleasant life. B. Understanding associations.
Journalists, advertisers, and other writers or speakers who want to interest and entertain their audience often make use of word associations. A fashion advert might ask, for example, "Would you like to have that Paris look?" which draws on the associations of Paris with glamour and style. Or someone might refer to cowboy builders, meaning builders who are not careful or trustworthy. It might seem difficult at first to understand this kind of language, but your knowledge both of the world and of the primary meanings of words will help you. Paris, for example, is known throughout the world as a centre of high fashion, and it is quite possible that the name Paris is associated with glamour in your own language too. If you have seen a Western, you will have seen how cowboys often behave in a careless and dishonest way. Think, for example, about the words shark, scar, and diamond. You probably know their literal meanings: a large sea creature with sharp teeth, a mark left on the skin after a cut has healed, and a precious stone, respectively. But what associations do you think they have for English speakers in general? What might someone mean if they said the following?
They're all sharks in that garage.
I think that new office block is a scar on the landscape.
Emma's a real diamond.
The idea of sharks as sharp-toothed creatures with an aggressive reputation should help you to understand that the speaker does not like the garage. The fact that a scar is a mark of a wound on something that was once unspoilt should help you to appreciate that the speaker does not like the new office block. The beauty and high value of a diamond as a precious stone should help you to see that the speaker has a high opinion of Emma.